She raised the child his family rejected. She loved him, protected him, and gave him a future. But years later, after the boy became successful, the birth father returned, demanding full custody of the same son he once called an abomination. Stay with us and see how this emotional story unfolds. In peaceful Benin community, Juliet and Hannah were very close friends. They grew up together on the same street, and their parents also knew each other. Juliet's mother was late, so it was only her father taking care of her. Because the girls were always together, people saw them as sisters. After secondary school, they begged their parents to allow them attend the same university. Their parents agreed, and both of them got into the University of Lagos to study business administration. In school, they were inseparable. They stayed in the same hostel, cooked together, read at night together, and supported each other. Their bond was so strong that many people thought they were twins. Everything was fine until their final year. Juliet's father fell sick. At first it was small signs, but later it became serious. The doctors said it was diabetes. One afternoon at the hospital, Juliet sat beside his bed, holding his hand. "Daddy, please don't leave me," she whispered. "Please stay and see me graduate." Her father managed a weak smile. "Juliet, you will finish school. You will make me proud. Be strong." Juliet wiped her tears. Hannah stood beside her, rubbing her shoulder. "He will be fine," Hannah said softly, even though worry showed in her eyes. Hannah's father, Mr. Johnson, listened quietly to the doctor. Then he turned and said, "Juliet, whatever happens, you are not alone. You are also my daughter." But a few weeks later, everything changed. The doctor came into the waiting room slowly and removed his glasses. Juliet understood immediately. "No, no," she cried, shaking her head. Hannah rushed to hold her before she fell. "Juliet, please breathe, please." Mr. Johnson placed a hand on her shoulder. "My dear, we will stand with you." Juliet cried in Hannah's arms until she had no strength left. 2 weeks later, Juliet sat quietly on the sofa. "Hannah, I don't think I can finish school," she whispered. "I don't have money anymore." Hannah knelt in front of her. "Juliet, don't say that. You must finish. We came here together." Hannah spoke with her father on the phone, and the next day he came with money. Juliet cried again. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, Hannah. I don't know how to repay any of you." "You don't need to repay us," Hannah said. "Just finish your exams." Juliet's boyfriend also sent her money for upkeep and feeding. And with their help, Juliet completed her final year fees and graduated successfully. After graduation, both girls stayed in Lagos to look for jobs. They applied everywhere but always got rejected. Days passed, weeks passed, and they began to feel discouraged. Then one morning, Juliet opened her email and screamed, "Hannah, come and see." Hannah ran out quickly. "What is it? What happened?" Juliet handed her the phone with shaking hands. "Read it." Hannah read the email and gasped. "Juliet, you got the job. Oh my God, you got it." Juliet covered her mouth. "Hannah, is this real?" "Yes, it's real." Hannah hugged her tightly. "Juliet, our suffering has ended. This is your breakthrough." They laughed and jumped around the small room like children. Juliet felt hope again for the first time in months. On Monday morning, Juliet went for her documentation. She filled the required forms, submitted her details, and followed instructions. Everything seemed normal until the receptionist said, "The general manager wants to see you." Juliet felt excited and nervous as she walked into his office. "Good morning, sir," she said. The manager smiled. "You must be Juliet. I saw your documents. You did well in the interview. You will do great in this company." "Thank you, sir," she replied, feeling relieved. He leaned back in his chair. "You're young, focused, and you look smart. I like that." Juliet smiled politely. "I will work very hard, sir." Then his tone changed. "Before you start work, there is something you must do," he said slowly. Juliet frowned. "Something like what, sir?" He looked directly at her. "You will book a hotel. You will invite me. We will spend the night together. After that, you can resume." Juliet froze. "Sir, I don't understand." He repeated himself word for word. "It is part of the policy for my assistance. And it's just for one night." Juliet's mouth went dry. Her hands trembled. "Sir, I came here to work." "And you will," he replied calmly, "once we understand each other." Juliet stood up. She held her file tightly so he wouldn't see her shaking. Without saying anything else, she walked out of his office. Outside the building, she finally let the tears fall. She called Hannah, crying so hard that Hannah couldn't even hear her properly. Hannah quickly said, "Juliet, come home now. Right now." Juliet ended the call and walked slowly down the street, wondering why life kept pushing her down even when she tried her best. But she didn't know that this was only the beginning of what was coming next. When Juliet got home, she was crying. Hannah ran to her and asked, "What happened?" Juliet tried to speak. The words broke in her throat. She sat on the edge of the bed and told Hannah what the manager demanded. Hannah hugged her, rubbed her back, and said, "It's okay. You did the right thing." A week later, the house felt heavy and quiet. Their food was almost finished. The landlord had dropped a reminder about rent. Juliet sat on the bed and stared at her father's photo on her phone. After a long silence, she made a decision. She called Hannah and said, "I can't do this anymore. I am going back to the village. Our money is almost gone. We have searched for jobs since graduation and failed. We cannot keep living like this. In the village, I will continue my father's farming work. No one has touched the farm since he died." Hannah frowned. "Go back to the village? What will people say about us?" she asked. "They will laugh. They will say we failed. Juliet, Lagos is where life happens." Juliet stayed calm. "We need to survive. The little money we have cannot sustain us here any longer." Hannah folded her arms and looked away. Her voice dropped. "You should have accepted the manager's request. That job was our best chance to come out of this suffering. Now your decision has put us in this mess." Juliet's eyes widened. "Hannah, how can you say that?" "He said it was one night," Hannah continued. "He said it was part of their policy. If you had done it, we would not be here." Juliet stepped back, shocked and hurt. "I did not expect this from you. I thought you would always look out for me as a sister." "This is me looking out for you," Hannah said firmly. "Going back to the village is shameful. I cannot follow you there. I will do whatever it takes to land a good job here and make it in Lagos." The room became silent. The fan hummed. A distant horn sounded outside. Juliet picked her small bag and folded her clothes slowly. She wiped her tears and said, "I wish you well." Then she walked out. Juliet traveled home the next morning. The road was long and dusty. She reached the village in the late afternoon. When she entered the sitting room and saw her father's photo on the wall, she broke down again and sat on the floor crying. Days turned into weeks. She woke early, fetched water, and worked on the ridges. She planted cassava stems. She planted okra seeds. But she hardly made enough sales at the market, and it made her sad. People in the market sometimes asked about Hannah. Juliet kept her answers simple. She got a job in the city. She is doing well, she would say, even when her voice shook a little. She refused to speak badly about her friend. At night, during her phone calls with her boyfriend, Benjamin, she would tell him how business was tough and how she hardly made enough sales. Benjamin listened quietly and then said, "Juliet, if things are this odd, you can move in with me. At least it will save some expenses." That weekend, Juliet visited him. They sat in his small living room talking about the farm and her struggles. Benjamin smiled and said, "Don't worry. You're trying. Things will get better." Juliet sighed. "I hope so. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing." "You're not failing," Benjamin replied. "You're fighting." He went to the kitchen and returned with a plate of yellow rice, her favorite. Juliet smiled faintly. "You still remember?" "I remember everything," he said gently. "Eat. You need strength." They talked until evening, about the village, about the future, about starting small businesses. Juliet felt lighter for the first time since she left Lagos. Later that night, when Benjamin slept, Juliet lay awake staring at the ceiling. She thought about her father. She remembered his voice. Be strong, he used to say. Work with your hands. God will bless it. She pressed her palm to her chest and whispered, I am trying, Daddy. Meanwhile, her phone stayed silent. No call from Hannah. No message. A year later, Juliet stood in front of her compound, with her phone in her hand, when Hannah suddenly appeared at the gate. Juliet looked up and froze. Hannah was heavily pregnant. Her face was pale and tired. The glow she used to have was gone. Hannah, where have you been? What happened to you? Juliet asked, her voice shaking. I'm sorry, Hannah whispered as tears rolled down her cheeks. I first went home, but my parents chased me out. They told me to go back to the man who got me pregnant. I just came back from Lagos. I have nowhere to go. Juliet's eyes softened. You have a place here. Come inside. Juliet gave her food and water. Eat a little, she said gently. Rest first. We will talk later. That night, they slept in the same room, quiet and tired. But before dawn, a sharp scream split the air. Juliet. Hannah cried from the bed. Juliet, help me. Juliet jumped up. What is it? My stomach, the pain. I think it's time, Hannah gasped. Juliet grabbed her wrapper and phone. Hold on. I'm booking a taxi now. On the way to the hospital, Hannah squeezed Juliet's hand and screamed again. Promise me, Hannah said, panting. Promise me that if anything happens to me, you will take care of my child. You will be fine, Juliet replied, trying to calm her. We are almost there. Promise me, Hannah insisted, sobbing. Juliet swallowed hard. I promise. I will take care of your baby. They reached the hospital. Nurses rushed them in. Hours passed slowly. Juliet waited in the corridor, praying under her breath, pacing up and down with shaky legs. A nurse finally came out. She has delivered, she said. It's a baby boy. Juliet covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. Thank God. Can I see him? Wait, the nurse said softly, her voice changing. There is a problem. Juliet's smile faded. What problem? The nurse lowered her eyes. Hannah had internal bleeding. We tried our best. I'm sorry. Juliet's legs weakened. She leaned against the wall and cried silently. Minutes later, another nurse gently placed a tiny baby boy in her arms, warm, soft, and breathing peacefully. Your friend was brave, the nurse said. She asked us to tell you to be strong. Later that day, Hannah's body was taken to her parents' house. Juliet followed with the baby wrapped in soft cloth. She stood at the doorway, eyes red, carrying him carefully. Hannah's father, Mr. Johnson, looked at his daughter's lifeless body and spat on the ground. Juliet stepped forward slowly. Sir, Juliet said softly, this is not the right time. She made a mistake, but Mr. Johnson cut in coldly. We did everything for this girl, but she chose to bring shame to this family, and that child is not welcome here. Juliet held the baby closer. He is your grandchild. God forbid, Mr. Johnson said. We disowned her when she came home pregnant. We will not accept the bastard she left behind. She disgraced this family. Mima Hannah stepped forward with dry eyes. The only reason we are accepting her body is because she still bears our last name, she said. If you want the baby, take him. He is not ours. She spat on the floor and walked inside with her husband. The door slammed shut. Juliet stood there, shocked and shaking. She looked down at the baby, tiny hands, small lips, innocent eyes. Her heart broke for him. As she held him tighter, a new fear rose inside her chest. She thought of Benjamin. Would he also reject the baby the same way everyone else had? She breathed in slowly and whispered to the little boy, I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I will try to keep the promise I made to your mother. The wind blew softly across the yard. The baby gave a small cry, and Juliet rocked him gently, praying that Benjamin's heart would be different. That evening, Juliet went to Benjamin's house with the baby in her arms. When Benjamin returned from the office, he met her standing at his door. Benjamin, she said softly, lifting the baby a little. This is Hannah's son. Benjamin looked at the baby for a long moment. He sighed deeply, then nodded. We will take care of him, he said. I will support you in any way I can. Juliet's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. She named the baby Kelvin. She held him close and kissed his forehead. Weeks turned into months. Life became tougher. Money ran out, and survival became a daily struggle. Neighbors whispered. Some laughed when Juliet passed with Kelvin on her back. One afternoon, Benjamin called her into the sitting room. His face was heavy. Juliet, sit, he said. She sat, holding Kelvin. What is it? I'm not sure I can do this anymore, Benjamin said slowly. People are talking. They call me a weak man for accepting another man's reject. Please return the child to his grandparents or take him to an orphanage. Juliet's blood ran cold. I can't do that, she said, voice shaking. He is like my own child. Why should we care about what people say? We are doing the right thing. Benjamin's voice rose. I make the decisions in this house, Juliet. Kelvin startled and began to cry. Juliet stood and rocked him gently. Sure, Kelvin, it's okay. Benjamin pointed at the door. You can barely feed yourself, yet you insist on keeping a child that is not yours. It's either you send that child away, or you leave my house right now. Juliet's eyes widened. Benjamin, where do you want me to go at this time? Benjamin walked into the small room, returned with a nylon bag of clothes, and tossed it toward the door. I paid your fees and bills since your father died, yet you could not choose me first. From today, fend for yourself. Juliet stared at him, stunned. She bent slowly, picked up the small bag with one hand, and held Kelvin with the other. She walked to the door, turned once, and said in a low voice, I made a promise to his mother. Then she stepped into the night. The street was dark and cold. Crickets sang. Far away, a dog barked. Juliet walked out of the compound with Kelvin pressed to her chest. She looked left and right. No place to go. No lighted window to knock on. In the village, no one wanted them. People called the baby a bastard. Doors would not open. Juliet stood under a weak street lamp, rocking Kelvin as he whimpered. It's okay, she whispered. I am here. Juliet had only one option. She would go to Lagos. There, she could ask some of Hannah's friends about the biological father of the child. By the time Juliet reached the Lagos, it was already dark and the clouds were heavy. She spotted an empty abandoned stall by the roadside and went in. The place was old and dusty, but it was all she had for the night. She folded 2 wrappers and laid Kelvin on them. She watched his small chest rise and fall. At least for tonight, he was safe. Her phone pinged. A message from Agnes, their close friend from school and also Hannah's friend. I found his address. The message read, Raymond. Here's the father. Juliet whispered, Thank you, Agnes. The next day, Juliet went to the address. She knocked. The door opened and Raymond stood there in a crisp shirt. He stared at her, then at the baby. Juliet, he said, surprised. You have a baby? His cute. Juliet held Kelvin tighter. Raymond, this is Hannah's child. You are the father. You got her pregnant before the breakup. Raymond's face hardened. He stepped back and raised his voice. I cannot accept that baby. I'm getting married next week to my soulmate. I won't entertain anything that will destroy my plans. And who knows? He might grow up with all of Hannah's bad behavior. Juliet's eyes filled with tears. Please, if you won't take him, at least support him. He is your blood. No, Raymond said, furious. Leave my house now. I don't want my fiancé to come back and meet you here. Juliet swallowed her pain, lifted Kelvin, and walked out. The next morning, Kelvin's hungry cries woke her in the stall. Come on, Kelvin, she whispered. Don't worry. You'll eat soon. She strapped him on her back, kept their small bag by the corner, and stepped out to find food. The market was just across the road. Juliet had only a few coins. She stood by a small food place and spoke softly to the woman there. Please, I need milk. Just a little. The woman looked at Juliet, then at Kelvin. She nodded and poured some milk into a bottle. Thank you, Juliet said, forcing a smile. She sat on a plastic chair and fed Kelvin. He sucked slowly, then faster, settling down as the milk warmed his stomach. Some customers stared. A few looked away. One old man nodded at her with quiet respect. Juliet kept her eyes on Kelvin. It's okay, she murmured. "Eat well, my son." When the bottle was empty, Kelvin closed his eyes and drifted to sleep. Juliet held him close and stared at the busy road. Cars moved. People shouted prices. Life continued. She breathed in and whispered, "We will not give up." 2 hours later, Juliet left for Agnes's house, a massive mansion in the heart of the city. Agnes stared at the baby when Juliet walked in. "It's such a pity Hannah ended up that way," Agnes said, eyes on the child. "But you know, this is a blessing in disguise for you, Juliet. With that kid, you don't have to be poor again." Juliet frowned. "What do you mean?" Agnes smiled. "I know someone who buys kids. Luckily for you, the father has rejected him. That's millions of naira, girl." Juliet stood up slowly. "Then I'm in the wrong place for help." "Don't be stupid, Juliet," Agnes called after her. "That kid is already ruining your life." Juliet ignored her and walked out with Kelvin. By evening, Juliet returned to the market. Kelvin had started crying again from hunger and the heat. She looked across at a small clothing store, took out her good clothes, and walked over. "Excuse me," she said to the young attendant. "Can you please buy my clothes? I need money for my child." He checked the clothes without interest. "Not in good condition. But for the sake of your child, I'll give you something." He counted a small amount and handed it to her. "Thank you," Juliet said quietly. She used some of the money to buy milk, bottled water, and a few diapers, then went back to the store. After cleaning Kelvin, feeding him, and laying him down, she checked the balance in her hand. It was small, but it was something. "At least I can start selling oranges," she whispered. "For now." The next morning, Juliet woke up very early. She cleaned Kelvin, made his milk with the bottled water, strapped him to her chest, and set off to the market. She bought half a basket of oranges, arranged some on a tray, and began hawking inside the market. "Sweet oranges here. Fresh oranges," she called, moving from line to line. She took short breaks when the sun became too harsh or when she needed to feed Kelvin, then went back to hawking. Kelvin seemed to understand. He hardly cried. For almost 2 months, the woman who sold oranges with a baby strapped to her chest became a common sight. Market women talked whenever she passed. To them, "She's just another girl who got pregnant in Lagos," one fruit seller muttered to her friend. "Let it be a lesson. Next time she won't open her legs for any man." Juliet heard it. She kept her head up and moved on, her voice steady. "Fresh oranges. Sweet oranges. Buy your oranges." That afternoon, Juliet entered a bus. As the bus moved, rain started. She looked out the window and felt her chest tighten. "My stall," she whispered. "That place will be full of water now." 30 minutes later, the bus reached her stop. She got down and started to cross the road when a loud argument pulled her attention. "Give me my money, old man," a taxi driver shouted, grabbing an elderly man by the shirt. "Next time, don't enter a taxi you can't pay for." "I'm sorry, my son," the old man pleaded. "Someone must have stolen my money inside the bus. Please, let me call my son to pay you." The driver scoffed and shoved him hard. The old man fell to the ground. Juliet rushed over and helped him up. "Hey, he is old enough to be your father. Respect him." "No one called you here, lady," the driver snapped. "How much does he owe you?" Juliet asked. 500 naira, the driver said, chin raised. Juliet untied the small knot in her wrapper and brought out her last note. She handed it to him. The driver glared at her, then at the old man. He kicked Juliet's tray of oranges, spilling them across the wet road, and stormed off. Juliet knelt in the rain, trying to gather the oranges with shaking hands. Tears burned her eyes. "I'm sorry about your oranges," the old man said, bending slowly to help. "Let me pick the ones that are not spoiled." "It's fine," Juliet breathed. "I will find a way. Do you live around here?" The old man nodded. He tried to stand straight but winced. Juliet held his arm. "I'll take you home, sir," she said. They walked carefully through the drizzle until they reached a small, cramped, old apartment near the market. "Thank you, young lady. You are too kind," he said with a tired smile. "I only did the right thing," Juliet replied softly. "Kelvin," strapped to her chest, let out a loud cry. "I have to go now, sir," Juliet said. "He is hungry." "Please sit," the old man said. "Let me bring you something. You and the baby." Juliet hesitated, then sat on the worn-out sofa. He returned with warm food and water. She fed Kelvin, then took a few small bites herself. By the time she finished, the rain was falling hard again. She kept glancing at the door, worried. "Is anything wrong, my dear?" the old man asked. "My shelter," Juliet said. "It must be flooding with water now." "Well, it's a good thing you are here," he said gently. "The baby could have fallen sick." Juliet nodded. "That's true. We have slept in that place for months. Cold. Mosquitoes. I'm even surprised he hasn't fallen sick." The old man looked at her for a long moment. "You are free to come and live with me," he said at last. "I get lonely. You and the child will be good company." Juliet's mouth opened in shock. "But your sons, will they be fine with it?" "Don't worry about them," the old man said with a small, sad smile. "I am as good as an old man without children. My 2 sons hardly visit me." Juliet saw the pain behind his smile. She stood and bowed her head slightly. "Thank you, Papa told you." He waved it off. "There's nothing to thank me for." Juliet looked down at Kelvin sleeping on her chest, then at the door where the rain still beat the ground. She took a slow breath. For the first time in a long while, she felt a little safe. A few weeks later, Juliet had fully settled into Papa Toju's apartment. Papa Toju became like Kelvin's grandfather, and his apartment became their home. He gave Juliet a little capital, and she started a small bedsheet business. Time moved fast. 17 years later, Kelvin had grown into a handsome teenager. He loved Juliet deeply. Juliet did everything she could to make life comfortable with her small business. She sent him to a local school. He was obedient and always helped Juliet at her small market space. Sometimes he took odd jobs to support the house. Kelvin also had a special gift. He was an excellent footballer. During school and inter-house sports competitions, he always ended up as the best player. People loved watching him because of his amazing dribbling skills. Neighbors praised Juliet for her good upbringing. Juliet would just smile, and each time she looked at Kelvin, her promise to Hannah grew stronger in her heart. One evening, Juliet and Kelvin were about to leave the house for evening training when a black, expensive car stopped in front of Papa Toju's apartment. A woman stepped out. "Mum, are we expecting any visitor?" Kelvin asked, unsure. Juliet frowned slightly. "None that I know of." "Good evening," the lady said. "Are you Miss Juliet, mother of Kelvin?" "Yes," Juliet answered gently. "How may we help you?" "I'm Amelia," the lady said. "I'm a talent manager based in the UK. A few weeks ago, someone posted a video of your boy online. I see great talent in him, and I want to help him reach his dream." Amelia showed them a video on her phone. Juliet and Kelvin leaned closer, confused at first, then shocked. It was Kelvin's clip from the just concluded inter-house sports, his dribbles clean and sharp. The video had over 10 million views and uncountable likes. Kelvin shouted, jumping and hugging his mother. "Mum, that's me." Amelia handed Juliet a card. "You can call me or verify me by any means. I hope for a positive response. It's a big opportunity." She returned to the car and drove off. Juliet stood frozen, staring at the card. Kelvin was still dancing in excitement. Later that night, Juliet sat in the living room, unable to sleep. Amelia's offer kept replaying in her mind. Still thinking about the boy. Papa Toju asked softly, taking a seat beside her. "I know this is his dream," Juliet said. "I'm happy to see it coming true, but I'm worried. He will be far away where I can't watch over him. He is still too young, Papa." Papa Toju held her hands and gave a small smile. "You worry too much. He may be young, but the boy understands responsibility. Refusing this opportunity will be like holding his future back. You won't want that." Juliet bit her lip. "I know, Papa. I'm just not used to being away from him," she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. Kelvin, who had been peeping from the doorway, came out and hugged her, his eyes wet. "If it makes you sad, I won't go, Mum." Juliet smiled through tears and touched his face. "No, I won't stop you from chasing your dream. Just promise me you will take care of yourself." "Yes, Mum," he said. Juliet hugged him again, hot tears running down her face, holding him like the small baby she once carried on her back. The night was quiet, but their hearts beat loud with hope and fear for the road ahead. A week later, Juliet used up all her savings to prepare for Kelvin's upkeep. A few days after, Amelia returned and picked Kelvin up for the airport. Juliet stood at the gate, eyes wet, watching the car get smaller and smaller. She waved until it was gone. Months passed. She tried to adapt without him. They spoke often on the phone, but it did not fill the empty space in her chest. By the 6th month, she could no longer reach him. She called many times. The lines were unreachable. One afternoon at the market, a female neighbor leaned on the counter. "Juliet, give up on that boy. He is not coming back." Juliet frowned. "What do you mean by that?" The woman laughed. "We all know the child is not your blood. His real father will soon come for him. And Kelvin has already forgotten you. If not, why hasn't he sent you pounds since he traveled to the UK?" The women around laughed. "Please mind your business," Juliet said. She picked up her bag and left for her bedsheet shop. "I will," the woman replied. "I just hope you stop being proud and realize how foolish you are raising a child who will still be claimed by his real dad." Juliet kept silent, but as the months went by, her worry grew. She started to believe what the neighbors were saying. She tried Amelia's number again and again, but nothing went through. Meanwhile, Papa Toju, who used to calm her, fell critically ill and was hospitalized. One morning, Juliet carried a flask of food to the hospital. When she arrived, Papa Toju had already passed away, and his body had been taken by his son. She asked the nurses for the funeral location, but no one knew. 2 weeks later, Juliet cried herself to sleep in the living room. A knock woke her. She rushed to the door, hope rising in her chest as if Kelvin might be standing there. But when she opened the door, the smile on her face disappeared. 2 men in native clothes stepped inside, watching her in a way that made her uneasy. She recognized them, Toju and Maxwell, Papa Toju's sons. "Welcome, says," Juliet said, forcing herself to stay calm. "Please, have a seat. Can I offer you something?" "We don't want water from a pathetic woman like you," they responded together. Toju stepped forward. "Now that our father is dead, we finally see the person who stole the love that was meant for us. You took our father from us, and now you pretend to be kind." Juliet's eyes widened. "That's not true. I took care of him. He was lonely." Maxwell moved closer. "If you know what is good for you, leave this apartment now, or the security men outside will carry you out." Tears filled Juliet's eyes. "Please. This is the only home my child knows. If he comes back, how will he find me? I have nowhere to go. Get your things and leave this house," Toju barked. Juliet dropped to her knees and held his leg. "Sir, please. I beg you in God's name." "I don't care," Toju said. "Not my problem. Get out before I call the police." Juliet slowly stood up, shaking. She went into the room, picked a few of her clothes, and gathered the little things she had left. She looked around with tears in her eyes, then walked out. As Juliet walked past a local restaurant with her bag on her shoulder, 2 of her neighbors sitting outside turned to look at her. "Is that not Juliet?" one of them pointed. "Indeed," the other said with a mocking smile. "So they finally threw you out." The first woman chuckled. "It serves you right. You were always acting like the perfect mother. Where is that boy now? You can't deceive Papa Toju anymore. Which old man will you try next?" They burst into laughter as Juliet walked past in silence. Juliet kept walking. She did not answer. More tears ran down her face, but her steps did not stop. She held the bag tighter and moved into the fading evening, alone. Meanwhile, back at Papa Toju's house, just after Juliet left, a delivery man arrived looking for her with a package. "She's our sister," Toju said quickly. "This is our father's home." Maxwell nodded. "Yes, she lives here. Ask the neighbors." The delivery man hesitated. Toju laughed. "What are you afraid of? You think a man with integrity like me will lie? You can wait for her to return from the market if you don't believe me." "There's no need for that, sir," the delivery man said, handing Toju the box. As soon as he left, Toju and Maxwell bolted the door and opened the box fast. Inside were 2 envelopes. Toju pulled out the letter, glanced at it, then threw it aside without opening it. He tore the second envelope. Maxwell's eyes widened. It was thick with dollars. Well, Toju smirked. "Looks like Juliet is not entirely unfortunate after all." Maxwell danced, lifting the notes to his nose and breathing in. Money has a sweet smell. Juliet had been walking for hours, aimless and tired. Everyone she thought was a friend refused to take her in, even for a few days. She stopped at an old wooden church. Inside, a few people were praying. Juliet slipped in quietly, knelt beside a bench, and held a small photo frame to her chest. Tears rolled down without words. "God, please protect my child," she whispered. "Don't let anything happen to him. Keep Kelvin safe." She didn't care about herself. She was ready to suffer. But the pain of not knowing how her child was doing cut her heart. A gentle tap on her shoulder. "Ma, please, we need to close the church now," a young lady said. Juliet jolted awake. She had slept for hours. It was already evening. "I'm sorry," she said softly. She picked up her bag and walked slowly to the door. The girl noticed she was hesitant to leave, but said nothing. Outside, the door closed behind her. The street was empty. Juliet began to walk. She turned a corner and saw a large iron gate with a sign. "Clean and needed. Urgent." She stopped, eyes fixed on the paper. For a long moment she just breathed. Part of her wanted to keep moving. Another part whispered, "You have nowhere else to go. This might be your roof tonight." After a silent battle with herself, she pushed the gate and stepped in. The compound was massive, white walls, a big garden, and a long driveway leading to a mansion. Just then, a tall man in a security uniform stepped out of the gatehouse. "Yes? Can I help you?" Juliet cleared her throat. "I saw the sign outside. I want to apply for the cleaner job." He looked her up and down. "Wait here." Minutes later, a middle-aged man in a neat shirt walked out from the main house. "You're here for the cleaner job?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Juliet replied quietly. He looked at her carefully, then nodded. "All right. You will start today. You'll stay in the small room beside the gate. Your duty is to clean our restaurant nearby and help attend to customers when needed. You will be paid monthly, and food will be provided. Do you agree?" "Yes, sir," Juliet said at once. Her voice held no pride, only relief. "Good," he said. "Follow the security man. He will show you your room." Juliet clutched her bag. As she walked after the guard, she said in her heart, "Kelvin, wherever you are, be safe." A week later, Juliet was serving customers in the restaurant. The TV was showing a live Chelsea match. In the dying minute, a teenage player scored a winning goal, and the whole restaurant erupted in joy. "Goal!" people screamed. Chairs moved. Plates rattled. Strangers hugged and cheered. Juliet looked up at the screen because everyone was shouting. The camera replayed the goal. The young player ran to the corner flag, smiling and spreading his arms. Juliet froze. "Kelvin," she whispered. She wiped her eyes and looked again. It was him. Her Kelvin. The same face. The same bright smile. The same way he lifted his hands after scoring. Tears of joy dropped. She laughed and cried at once, whispering, "Thank you, God." But suddenly, her heart began to race. Her chest tightened. Her breath shortened. The noise around her became faint. She tried to hold the counter but missed. Her vision blurred, and before anyone could reach her, she collapsed to the floor. Across town, Raymond was watching the same match with his wife. When the replay showed Kelvin's face, his wife leaned forward in shock. "This player looks exactly like you," she said. "The same face." Raymond's smile faded. A memory flashed, the day Juliet came to his house years ago, saying the child was his. He rubbed his forehead. "Juliet brought a child to me years ago. I sent them away." His wife turned to him quietly. "Is he your son?" "I don't know," Raymond said softly, eyes wet. "I'm ashamed of my actions." It's been on my mind for years, but I never had the courage to do the right thing." He couldn't sleep that night. He told his wife everything about Hannah, Juliet, and the baby. She listened and held his hand. "Do you still know where Juliet stayed?" she asked. "Yes," Raymond said. "In the village. I still remember." "Then go," she said gently. "If he is your son, it's a good thing. He's a great footballer with a bright future." Raymond whispered, "I just hope he forgives me, because I'm not sure I've forgiven myself." His wife placed a hand on his shoulder. "He will. You're still his father." Raymond lay down with a small spark of hope and a heavy cloud of guilt in his chest. Back at the restaurant, a waitress screamed, "Madam, madam." She waved to the cashier. Another worker ran to help. "What happened?" he asked. "I don't know," she said, panicking. "She just dropped to the floor." Together, they lifted Juliet and rushed her to the hospital. Hours later, the doctor came out, removing his gloves. "She has hypertension and high blood sugar," he said. "We need to start treatment immediately before it becomes worse." "But, doctor," one of the workers asked, "how much will it cost?" "She needs to pay 1 million naira before we can begin treatment," the doctor replied firmly. "And it must be done very soon." The workers looked at each other helplessly. None of them could afford that kind of money. Juliet's closest friend at work, Linda, stood aside, shaking. "We have to find someone," she said. "A relative, anyone who can help raise the hospital bill." Everyone was quiet. Machines beeped softly in the ward. Juliet lay still on the bed, her eyes closed, unaware of the people praying for her to wake up. Days passed with no progress. People only said get well soon, but no one could help with the hospital bills. So her colleague, Linda, printed Juliet's picture and posted it around the streets, begging the public to donate for her treatment. A few days later, 2 black Mercedes-Benz cars drove into Papatoju Street and stopped in front of his apartment. Neighbors gathered, whispering. To everyone's shock, Kelvin stepped out with 2 men in suits. He looked grown, strong, and successful. "Why is no one at home?" Kelvin asked, seeing the door locked. One of the women who had mocked Juliet at the bar came forward with a sad smile. She held Kelvin's hand. "My child, many things happened after you left. Papa Toju died, and his sons pushed your mom out." "What?" Kelvin cried. His voice shook. Another woman added quickly, "We tried to take her in, but she refused. She said she wanted to go and look for you." It was a lie, but Kelvin didn't know. "Where is my mom?" Kelvin asked, tears rising. "Please, where is she?" A young man from the crowd stepped out and handed over his phone. "Is this her?" he asked. On the screen was Linda's poster, asking for help for Juliet at the hospital. Kelvin's hand trembled. The phone almost fell. "Driver," he shouted. "To the hospital. Now." Minutes later, Kelvin ran into the ward. "Mom," he cried, rushing to the bed. Juliet lay unconscious, pale and still. Kelvin bent over her and wept. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have come back sooner." A nurse hurried in. Kelvin turned to the doctor. "How much is her treatment?" "Start now. I will pay everything." They began at once. Hours passed. The treatment worked, but the doctor explained she was still weak from stress and sickness. "Nothing bad will happen to her," the doctor said. "I only hope we are not too late." As if on cue, Juliet's fingers moved. Kelvin straightened. "Mom." Her eyes opened slowly. She stared at him, then a warm smile formed with a single tear. Kelvin hugged her gently, afraid to let go. "I'm sorry," he whispered through tears. Juliet also cried and, despite her weakness, held him tight. "Thank God for bringing you back." Over the next week, Juliet recovered faster than anyone expected. She and Kelvin talked for hours. Kelvin explained why contact stopped. "Mom, I called you many times," Kelvin said, holding her phone. "But your phone was diverting international calls without you knowing." He tapped her settings. "See, call diversion." He laughed through tears. Juliet laughed too, covering her face. "I also sent a package with money and a letter to Papa Toju's address," Kelvin added. Juliet frowned softly. "I never got anything." Kelvin exhaled. "Then Toju and Maxwell must have taken it." Juliet shook her head. No revenge, she said gently. For the sake of Papa Toju's kindness to us, leave them. Kelvin lowered his eyes and nodded. Okay, Mum. Juliet told him about Papa Toju's death and some of what happened after. She left out the deepest pain. Kelvin listened in silence, holding her hand. That night, as the ward lights dimmed, Juliet looked at her son's face and whispered, God kept you. He will keep us. Kelvin squeezed her fingers gently. I'm here now, Mum, and I'm not going anywhere again. I can't wait for you to come to London and watch me play in the stadium. A day after Juliet was discharged from the hospital, Kelvin drove her to a place she could hardly believe existed. Kelvin, what are we doing here? Juliet asked as they entered a massive mansion, white walls, a small waterfall by the gate, and a fleet of shining cars parked on the driveway. Kelvin smiled. This is our home, Mum. Juliet blinked in disbelief. What? No, this is too much. Inside looked like a dream. White marble floors, golden railings, elegant wall designs, expensive chairs she was even afraid to sit on. Kelvin grinned. This is nothing compared to how I planned to spoil you, Mum. Just wait here. Juliet folded her arms. What are you up to now? Kelvin winked. You'll see. A few minutes later, he returned holding a brown file. Hey, he said, handing it to her. Juliet opened it slowly. Her eyes widened. Tears filled her eyes. Her hands trembled as she held the documents. Mum, Kelvin said softly, the ownership of this house and another mansion in a different city are now yours. The cars too. Everything is in your name. Juliet gasped. Kelvin, what did I ever do to deserve this? This is too much. Kelvin took her hands gently. You deserve even more. Thank you for being a good mother and my best friend. Juliet broke down crying, holding him tightly. You're my blessing, she whispered. The following days were the happiest of Juliet's life. She and Kelvin went to the old compound to pack her belongings. When she stepped out of the car, the neighbors could barely recognize her. Toju and Maxwell quickly turned away, covering their faces in shame. Maxwell sighed. See what your wickedness has caused us. We could have been relatives to Kelvin. He's a famous footballer now. But because of how you treated his mother, we can't even go near him. Toju snapped. And why are you blaming only me? Were you not part of it? You're only sorry now because the boy has a bright future. Maxwell rubbed his head and exhaled. So what do we do now? Maybe we should try to meet him. After all, our father gave his mother shelter for 17 years. Toju shook his head. That's not smart. Remember, we stole her money. If we show up now, it'll only cause more trouble. The two brothers fell silent, covering their faces again in regret, realizing they had destroyed the only chance to be connected to something greater than themselves. After visiting Papa Toju's favorite spot behind the house, Juliet looked up at the sunset and smiled through tears. I wish you were here to see the angel you helped me raise, Papa Toju. I hope you're resting well. I'll always take care of our boy. Meanwhile, in Benin village, Raymond visited Hannah's parents. Mr. Johnson's face tightened the moment Raymond introduced himself. You're the reason we lost our only daughter, he said bitterly. You never showed up. Now you come after all these years. Mama Hannah held her husband's arm gently. Calm down. Raymond bowed his head. I was young and foolish. I made terrible mistakes. But I want to make things right. I want to take responsibility. Mama Hannah sighed. We don't even know where the boy is. We heard his with Juliet. Then call her, Mr. Johnson said coldly. Let's hear what she has to say. Moments later, Juliet's phone rang. It was a strange number. Hello, she said softly. How have you been, Juliet? A woman's voice asked. Juliet froze. She recognized the voice immediately. Her expression hardened. What do you want? She asked coldly. We need to talk about my grandchild, Mama Hannah said. Juliet's voice trembled with anger. I remember clearly what your husband said years ago. You called him a bastard. Are you now his grandparents because God has blessed him and you want to share in it? Don't talk to me like that. Mama Hannah snapped. That boy is not yours. Give him back to us, or we will come for you. Juliet's voice was steady. "I'll be waiting. But hear me well, none of you will come near him." Raymond took the phone. "Juliet, please, give me my son's contact. He deserves to know his father. I'm ready to play my role now." Juliet's voice broke, but her words were firm. "You abandoned him 17 years ago. Leave with that decision." "I'm sorry," Raymond said softly. "Please, I just want to see him." Juliet ended the call without another word and blocked the number. Mima Hannah turned to Raymond angrily. "You caused this. You refused to take responsibility back then, and now you're showing weakness by begging that girl? No, that's not how we handle things. We'll use force if we have to." Raymond looked at her, tired and guilty. The boy is now a successful footballer. He plays for Chelsea. Mr. Johnson's anger softened. For a brief moment, pride filled his eyes. "At least my grandson is doing well." Mima Hannah hissed. "That's exactly why Juliet is hiding him. She wants to enjoy his wealth alone while we suffer here. But over my dead body will that happen?" Raymond stood silent, his heart heavy with shame. Regret filled his eyes. He had destroyed so much in his youth, and now fate was forcing him to face it all again. He didn't know what to do next, only that tomorrow he would try again, no matter what it took. Across town, Juliet had always feared this day would come, especially now that Kelvin was rich, famous, and one of the most talented footballers in the world. Her heart nearly stopped when she heard his voice behind her. "Mum, was that my grandmother you were talking to on the phone?" Kelvin asked quietly. Juliet turned around, startled. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Her heart pounded so hard it almost hurt. She stared at her son's face, calm, curious, serious. He deserved the truth. Juliet took a deep breath, moved closer, and held his hand gently. "Let's go home first," she said softly. "There's something I need to tell you." Kelvin shook his head. "You don't have to hide it anymore, Mum. I already know." Juliet froze. "Know what?" He gave a small, sad smile. "That you're not my biological mother. And it's okay." Juliet's eyes widened. "What?" she whispered. "How did you find out?" Kelvin looked at her kindly. "I overheard you talking to Papa, told you about it when I was younger. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make you sad." Juliet's lips trembled. Guilt washed over her face. "I'm so sorry, my son. I didn't want to hide it forever. I just didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid I'd lose you." Kelvin gently squeezed her hand. "Mum, you don't need to apologize. You're the one who raised me when everyone else turned away. You gave me love, care, and strength. You're my mother. Nothing can change that." Tears filled Juliet's eyes. "But don't you want to meet your real father?" Kelvin shook his head slowly. "You and Papa told you are the only family I've ever known. When the world rejected me, you stood by me. That's what matters." Juliet broke down, hugging him tightly. "I love you so much," she whispered, her tears soaking his shoulder. Kelvin held her just as tightly. "I love you too, Mum. You're the best mother anyone could ever have." Juliet smiled through her tears. "You've made every pain worth it, my son." They stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, as the evening sun poured through the window. For the first time in years, Juliet's heart felt calm. No fear, no sorrow, just peace. After everything, the rejection, the loss, the loneliness, she had finally won where it mattered most. Love, not blood, had made them a family. The end. This story teaches us that family isn't only about blood. Sometimes, the people who stand by us, lift us, and love us the most aren't related to us at all. Not every friendship is a mistake. Some are blessings that last forever. Now tell us, what lesson did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next upload. Thanks for watching.